Good afternoon, and today is our second lecture of Zoom class for PhD, and we are going to start type and function of antigen. So before starting, I just want to overview. Yesterday we discussed about the antibodies, how they work, how they are generated, how our body generates a billion of antibodies, and how does they work. And in that one, we studied that actually antibody react with the antigens. So today our topic is what type of the antigens and how they function. So let's start with this one. And first we go with today's lecture learning objectives. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to define antigens. You will be able to discuss what is the nature of the antigens, like we discussed about antibodies. They are protein in nature, but in terms of antigens, what they are. So we are going to discuss about that at the end of this lecture. You will be familiar whether they are protein in nature and whether they are lipid or so on. So we'll discuss in this lecture. After that, we'll discuss type of the antigens, and then we also describe the properties of antigens and then the cross reactivity. So first, starting with this one, what is mean by the term antigen? So like yesterday you mentioned the antibodies, they are a fancy word we use for them as a immunoglobulin. So similarly for the antigen we also use the word for immunogen, but keep in mind all the antigens are the immunogens, but all the immunogens are antigens, but not all the antigens are the immunogens. So any substance that stimulates the immune system or body and bind to the specific antibody, that is called antigen. And antigens are generally proteins, polysaccharide, maybe sometimes some nucleic acid. They are considered as a poor antigens, and most common antigens are bacteria and viruses. They come in the body and then they attack our attacks on the human system. As a result, our immune system become active. So, who discovered the antibody when this term was introduced? Sorry, antigen, and what is the meant of that term antigen? So, the term was firstly introduced in 1899 by Ladistute, named hypothetical substances halfway between bacterial constituents, antibodies, substances, immunogens, or antigens. So French word antigen, anti, we know that against, and word forming suffix gen means synthesis. Genesis is a part of the word genesis. So they derived one word, they include the gen. So actually the gen is part of the genesis. Genesis, we know that the synthesis of something. So it means those substances, as a result, antibodies are produced are known as the antigen. So at least as you are familiar with the antigen word, so I just mentioned slightly here, and the guys who firstly introduced the term antigen, actually, he was a French guy. And then what other things we are going to discuss here, actually, that is the epitope. So each antigens have a certain site which recognized by the antibodies, and that sites are known as the epitopes. So it usually is a very common question. Usually people ask, what does mean by the term epitope? So an epitope is a small site on the antigen which is recognized by the antibody. As you can see in this figure as well, the mid part which is resembling with the antigens here, and if you see upside, you can see the some part where the antibody is going to bind. And similarly, if you see the downside, where is their side also antibody going to bind. So these are the binding sites where antibodies recognize and the antigens. These are known as the epitopes. Usually, the epitopes number varies, and they are between 1 to 6 sugars or amino acids on the surface of the antigens. As you can see, they have some have a single epitopes and some have more than one epitopes where our antibodies can recognize and then they can bind for further reaction. So next, after the epitope, we have another word that is called paratope. So the part region of the antibody where antigen binds. The first is the region of the antigen where which recognized by the antibody, and that part which recognize the antigen epitope and that bind with that epitope, that region is known as the paratope. So region of the antibody where antigen bind, that is called paratope. So we have to remember that what does mean by the term epitope and paratope. So what is different between the epitope and paratope? So epitope is basically on the surface of the antigen, and the antibody, the place that bind with that epitope, that is called paratope. So region of the antibody where antigen binds. So paratopes are the specific for the antigens. As you look, they are just like a key and lock mechanism, and we talk about in terms of enzyme. So they have the similar structures, and they just bind that epitope, paratopes. We recognize the antigen epitopes, and then they bind with those epitopes. So binding of antigen epitopes to paratopes lead to the antigen antibody reaction. And of course, then they join together just like the substrate and enzyme mechanism. And then as a result, the reaction takes place. So as you can see in that figure, shown here, the Y-shaped structure that resembles with the structure as you remember yesterday, with the like antibody that is also known as immunoglobulin. So the star-shaped binding sites in the variable region of the antibody is known as a पैराटॉप के वो रीजन जहाँ से ये बाइंड करती है उसको हम पैराटॉप के नाम से जानते हैं. So next, what are the antigen determinants? So antigen determinant is a cluster of epitopes on the surface of antigen. एक एंटीजन की सरफेस के ऊपर जो पैराटॉप एपिटॉप्स का जो क्लस्टर्स होता है उसको हम एंटीजेनिक डिटर्मिनेंट्स कहते हैं. Antigen was several determinants, each structurally different from the each other, and that's the reason. Usually, some people ask why the antibody is specific to the specific antigen, or why specific antigen can bind with a specific antibody. So that is because of these antigenic determinants. So if they ask someone like, so why the antibody antigen reaction is specific? So that is because of the antigen determinants, because they are specific. So antigen have several determinants, each slightly different from each other, and monoclonal antibody react with only one determinant on the same antigen. Antigen with single and multiple antigen determinants. One antigen determinant, as you can see here, we just show the simple animations here. Just they are binding, as you can see in the first one, one antigenic determinant. They have just one epitope. They have more than one epitope. Like we mentioned here, the two epitopes with a di-antigenic or maybe two antigenic determinants. And if they have a three or more, then we call them as a multi-antigenic determinants. So there's the common term we use usually with other phases like mono, di, and tri, and so multi, and so on. So one antigen determinants, as you can see here, they are containing a one epitope. If more than one, two epitopes, they are di-antigenic determinant, and if more than two and three and more than three, and they are known as a multi-antigenic determinants. So what are the types of the antigens? Antigens can be categorized into two types. One we call them as a complete antigens, and other are known as the incomplete antigens. So basically, we are categorizing on the basis of their activity. So antigens that are capable to induce the immune response, like immunogens, and react specifically that responded to the antibody, they are known as the complete antigens. And incomplete antigens that is unable to induce the immune response, and we are known as these are the non-immunogens. So we can see here antigens, immunogens is a part of the antigens. Antigens could be the immunogen or antigen could be the non-immunogen, but it reacts specifically that responded to the antibody. That is, for example, heparin plus large molecule that form actually the complete antigen. So we are of course discuss what this mean by the term heparin. So all immunogens are the antigens, but all antigens are not the immunogens. So as we can see even in the terms of type, so we are categorizing as immunogens, which are the complete antigens. That means we are talking about the what are the complete antigens. We can use the word immunogens. So immunogens are the complete antigens. Why they are complete antigens? Because they are able to induce the immune response. But other are non-immunogenic, it means they are unable to induce the immune response. And they have a certain molecule. So next we will discuss what does mean by the term heptin. So if we see the heptin is the small molecules which could never induce an immune response unless coupled to a carrier molecule. So as you can see here, we have a large carrier molecules and there are the small heptins. Heptins can't function until unless they don't have a carrier molecule. So it means the haptens, other terms we can use for the non-immunogens, it means they are the haptens. These are the small molecules which can't induce the immune response. For induction of immune response, what they need? They need a certain carrier molecule. And if the hapten without carrier molecule, there is a no immune response. And if there is a hapten with the carrier conjugate, then they induce the immune response. As you can see in this figure, as we have to by animation here, a hapten molecule without carrier, they are just as a no immune response. And when it combines with the carrier, as you can see, when they are joining, they have a conjugate of hapten and carrier molecule. So in that form, they can induce the immune response. So what is the chemical nature of antigens? As yesterday we mentioned that antibodies are the protein in nature, but how about the antigens? So antigens, the vast majority of the aminogens are proteins. These may be pure proteins or they may be glycoproteins. It means having some part of polysaccharides, or they may be a lipoprotein, some part of lipid. So, but they have the major part of the protein. So, but certain polysaccharide, they also act as a good aminogens. Pure polysaccharide and lipid polysaccharides examples are here. Nucleic acids sometimes also act as antigens, but they are pure aminogens. It means they have the poor efficiency to induce the immune response. And the lipids, they are non-immunogenic. In general, lipids are non-immunogenic, although they may be haptens. The hapten, and then when they combine with the carrier molecules, of course, then they will might be able to produce the immune response. And next, which factors influence the immunogenicity? How reactions of antibody and what we call the antibody and the antigens can be affected. Here we show the arrow. If you can see here, the amino acids, they have a pure activity. Haptens, or they have also poor activity because until unless they don't bind with the carrier. And if it goes further, like carbohydrates, they have a better efficiency for the immunogenicity, and then proteins, we know they are the immunogenic, so they can reduce the. So we can show how the immunity is going to increase. So amino acids, then hepatine, lipids, steroid, carbohydrates, and proteins have the better amino acids. So one is their non-selfness type of molecules. What the chemical nature, whether they are polysaccharide, whether they are pure proteins, whether they are like glycoproteins and lipoproteins, and what their nature. So it means the immunogenicity depends upon the nature of the antigens. Okay, what their nature? If they are either they are pure proteins, whether they are glycoproteins and lipoproteins, and they are only lipids. So we just mentioned here, okay, proteins have a higher immunogenicity than polysaccharides and lipids, and the most poorest immunogenicity is expressed by the nucleic acid. So even we can ask in future which one have a poor immunogenicity. For example, we mentioned here these four options like a protein, polysaccharide, lipid, and nucleic acid. So in that way, our answer will be nucleic acid, and vice versa. Maybe we can ask which one have a higher immunogenicity. So our answer will be the proteins. So molecular size also affects the immunogenicity. If they are more than 10,000 Dalton, like 10 kDs, are more immunogenic, and if their size and lesser, then might be they have a less immunogenicity. So composition, heterogeneity increases the immunogenicity. If they have a heterogeneity, then immunogenicity will be increases. Degradability, protein antigen must be degraded like phagocytosis in order to be presented to helper T cells, and they are affected by the physical form, by denatured or whether the native. So these are the factors we mentioned here, few of them. We will suggest further readings about this antigen topic. So we just drew the major one, how immunogenicity could be influenced. So how it could be influenced by the nature of the antigens, by size of the antigens, their composition, their drugability, and their physical form. Okay, either it is denatured antigens or either it is a native form antigen. So what are the antibody antigen interactions? So binding of antibody to antigen is dependent upon hydrogen bond, electrostatic interaction, and van der Waals interaction. So here you can see some binding between the antigens and antibody. We shown here antigens different colors, and you can also see the antibody in the bluish color. So they are binding with the, like they have a hydrogen bonding in van der Waals forces. So these bondings are weak compared to the covalent bond, but the large number of weak bonds result in a stable complex. So actually they are a reversible reaction. So they just bind with the poor forces, van der Waals forces, or sometimes the hydrogen bonding. So what is the cross reactivity? Ability of individual antibody combining site to react with a more than one antigenic determinant. And then ability of the population of antibody molecules to react with more than one antigen. As you can see here, the first one, that's the monoclonal and only can bind with the one particular antigen, identical epitope. And this is a cross reactivity that also maybe they can bind with another one if their epitope is the same. So because of the similar epitopes, maybe they can bind. There could be the cross reactivity between the antibody and antigen. So conclusions, what we have learned so far, antigens are the agents that have a capability to induce immune response. Heptin can't induce the immune response until bind to the carrier molecule. What we define the term epitope. So what is an epitope is an antigen active site where paratope is, while paratope is antibody active site. कि जो epitope जो है वो antigen की active site को कहते हैं, जबकि paratope जो है वो antibody की active site को कहते हैं. So it means we can differentiate between the epitope and paratope. And binding of the antibody to antigen is made reversible due to the weak bond. So we mentioned already, because they have the poor forces. If they are binding covalently, of course the reaction might be irreversible, but they have hydrogen bonding and they have the van der Waals weak forces. So binding of the antibody to antigen is made reversible due to the weak bonds. So this is all about for today. So it means we learned the term, if we overview our lecture, the antigens, what does mean by this one? What is the chemical nature of antigens? They vary. It means mainly they are protein in nature, but they could be the carbohydrates and lipids, and they could be even glycoproteins and lipoproteins, and even sometimes some nucleic acid act as the antigens. We also discuss the type of antigens. If we talk about the type of antigens, we just simply categorize two types: complete antigens able to induce the immune response, and incomplete antigens which is unable to induce the immune response. We mentioned the example is heptin here. What heptin we mentioned just like next to this, heptin is a molecule which can't induce alone, but when it combines the carrier molecule, that becomes able to induce the immune response or induce the immune activity. And then we also discuss the properties of antigens. If we talk, and then we also discuss the factors affecting the antigens, and lastly we discuss the cross reactivity. So sometimes if some antigens have the same kind of epitope, so maybe the same antibody can bind with the two different kind of antigens. So that is might be the cross reactivity could be happen. So this is all for today, and if you have any questions, you can ask. We have few more minutes to discuss.